thanks, you know, like, nah, that sounds like some heavy duty bad karma. I'm not into that, man. And then, and you know, like, it just gets really bizarre and weird, and before you know it, they're always trying to, you know, on your birthday or whatever, they'll try to give you like a book, and it's like something about like Lucifer. It's like, now I'm kind of into Buddhism, like thanks for the spirituality book, but a dude with horns and the Baphomet, like no thanks, you know. But they're like, yeah, read this, you know. And I'm already like, you know, I'm kind of not into like Christianity and like the Abrahamic structure, and they're like, yeah, we know it's retarded stuff. Why don't you just read about Lucifer instead? And it's like, okay, thanks for the book. 2 months later, it's in the trash, you know. And what's really weird is that if you start resisting their like advances for too long, it's weird because sometimes they don't take no for an answer, you know, like it's like, dude, what do I owe you? Like, what do you really want, you know? And I think some people are allowed to just sort of waltz away and it's all good. But for some people, some others, like that's not the case anymore. And what's really strange is that you'll hear like people in these groups like talk about like, oh yeah, you heard about the new lower mortgage rates, the interest rates at the bank? Oh yeah, you know, through that guy. It's like, yeah, through that guy, you know? And it'll be somebody in the office that's sort of like, you know, the nodal point to talk to and give the secret handshake and say, hey, what number do I call at the bank to get that special mortgage interest rate, you know? Or who do I need to call, who do I need to talk to at the car dealership to get that special low APR on the next like, you know, car that's hot for the region or whatever, you know? How do I get in on that new housing development, you know? And I noticed that was like, you know, and people would even mention and say like, yeah, you know, I'm not into that. I'm not into fraternities. I think it's sort of retarded. And I think it's because they got burnt. Because what happens is when they go into these things, like, you know, you bring your family, you bring your wife, you bring your kids, and there's like these social gatherings and get-togethers. But you know, you don't have to go there very far until you realize, before you know it, they're kind of pushing you into like, you know, wife swapping. They're kind of like talking about, like, and like for some people that's not even a problem, man. It's like, we're just taking a little weekend vacation from each other. Dude, trust me, it gets funny, you know? And it's like before you know it, it's like the dudes go, I mean, some of them are like, yeah, you know, like, there's a whole thing about like sodomite, disowning a man once in a while, and hey, why group orgies, really strange, really bizarre. And if you stay away from them long enough, maybe, and if you're unlucky and they don't want to leave you alone, it's really weird things start happening. And the unfortunate reality is that if you don't have God's protection during that time, it's really bizarre. Like, your life can be turned upside down reasonably fast. So, at the time when this was happening to me, I had just started, it's what the Buddhists call having third eye activation, and really the scientific backing for it is that there's an organ in your head called the pineal gland. It releases dimethyltryptamine, DMT, and it's a powerful psychedelic actually, but a lot of research shows that it's sort of like maybe the spirit molecule. It's what links consciousness to the brain. It's the weird science, you know. And I was, and that's just to sort of get a grounding in like the modern scientific understanding for what's happening in sort of like the mental realm. Back in the day, everybody would have had their pineals much more active than they are today. In today's world, most people have what's called calcified pineals because of the pollutants in our environment, and the pineal gland is actually a heavy-duty sponge for the garbage that they add into our processed food. Through fasting and detoxing, you can clear that out, but the thing is, I don't even recommend doing that, because what you're just doing is becoming aware of a higher dimensional space that's actually totally hijacked by nefarious spirits. And if you don't have God's protection, what's the point, you know? And that's what I noticed. But anyways, I had already, quote unquote, activated my pineal because of my Buddhist training. And I noticed that during these times when these groups were highly aware and getting active and trying to influence you, once in a while in your head you would see, for example, an eye, an actual eye, right? Or you would see a triangle. And that's where I connected the dots. I was like, wait, this is the Eye of Providence, man. This is the so-called mystery Babylonian logo that's been going around, at least all around us in pop culture. And, you know, and you actually see that. Most people probably can't because their inner eye isn't active, which is a good thing, trust me, in this day and age right now. Maybe when the Lord purges these nasty things, when spiritual Babylon is no more, and we're living in the millennial kingdom, maybe these things will be turned on again, and it will be a very constructive sense to communicate with the higher dimension when it's beaming a pure signal again. But so that's when I noticed what they talk about as the evil eye, when the evil eye starts becoming interested in what's going on in your mind. And when that happens, then, and again, if you don't have the protection of God, then you're kind of just like an open field for anything to kind of just happen in your life, which really sucks. Now, for anyone out there that resists this sort of mass invitation, beware of potential side effects, such as you might start noticing that you don't have access to lower interest rates on your mortgage. I'm talking about getting like a 1.5% or 2%, but you're stuck there at 3.5 effective. You're just not on the special list, sir. Certain types of promotions don't seem to come your way. Your kids don't get into certain extracurricular activities. They're stuck on the waiting list for some reason. And just generally, just a myriad of other weird things. How do you protect yourself from such things? Well, give your soul to God. Accept Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. And make sure to get your protection right away. To get this one-time offer, a special deal, call 1-800-777-SAVE-ME today. That's 1-800-77 Please God Save Me today. And make sure to book your life insurance and secure your upper middle class existence today.